and subscribe.
Fight fans, good morning and welcome. I hope you've all recovered from what was an absolutely brilliant night of boxing live from the Spurs football stadium. We asked questions before last night, will the main event particularly live up to the hype? And boy, did it live up to the hype. And we will get to the main event. I'm going to go through the undercard to start with and pick a few bones at what I think was wrong, the positives, the negatives of the event. But yeah, we're going to come to it all, don't you worry, in this quick review of British boxing at its best last night. But first of all, we started off with a cruiserweight contest, which was Chris Billam-Smith versus Brandon Glanton. But before we actually get to the fight, I want to pick a few bones with a 65,000 seater stadium that was empty. I don't even think there was a 3,000 or 4,000 in the stadium for the start of this fight. It's entirely up to you what you do with your money. People that pay for the fight tickets, that is entirely up to you what you do. But I do not get on a 5-fight card on this kind of bill why you would want to turn up just for the main event or co-main event and main event. Why you'd want to do this is beyond me. This is what I think sometimes is, I say, a problem, not really a problem, because if the event's sold out, the event's sold out. But this is sometimes a problem you get with stadium fights, where you can have trouble, where you get a lot of boxing casuals turn up just for the main events, pissed up, where they've been in the pub before and watching the football or whatever, and this is where trouble can start. From what I've seen, I haven't seen any videos online of any trouble. I was sort of expecting that last night or this morning, but from what I'm seeing so far, there's been nothing of it, which is good. But this is sometimes the problem you have with football stadiums, where you get the casuals that just don't care or interested in any of the undercard, and they suddenly pack it out for the main event. But the fight itself was the perfect way to start this pay-per-view. Chris Billam-Smith, Brandon Glanton, very, very good fight. Was expecting it to be. The right man won. Chris Billam-Smith won a unanimous decision. I did pick that in my preview show with Steve and Rob. I just thought that's the way to go. But hats off to Brandon Glanton. He talked a good fight beforehand. He delivered. He probably ran out of gas a little bit. Chris Billam-Smith early on was struggling for me, but Brandon Glanton gave it his all. Chris Billam-Smith gave it his all. They produced a very, very good opener. Good win for Chris Billam-Smith. They both took big shots. They both landed. Excellent opening show. Excellent opening fight to open the show. Very, very good start. And then we went on to, after this, another cruiserweight fight for the British cruiserweight title. Chev Clark, Vidal Riley. Very, very disappointed with Chev Clark. Thought he was poor. I thought he ran out of ideas. I thought Vidal Riley was excellent. Boxed a very, very good fight. I said in my preview show that Vidal Riley has had things all a little bit too comfortable in his career so far. I think he had it a little bit too comfortable last night. I mean, the scorecards were 117, 111, 116, 112, 115, 113. I would say 116, 112, 117, 111 is probably how I saw it. Just thought Chev Clark ran out of ideas. Very poor from him, and where he goes from here now is to be seen. But, Vidal Riley, still undefeated. He can go on and have some good fights. Next fight after that, Liam Smith, Aaron McKenna. I thought Liam Smith looked every bit his 36 years last night. Was it Liam Smith's inactivity? Was it that Aaron McKenna was that good? Aaron McKenna won every round, totally outboxed Liam Smith. Aaron McKenna, fantastic win, best win of his career. What a great win on your career to have, of totally dominating a unanimous decision in Liam Smith. He's the world's his oyster now. Let's see what he can do for Aaron McKenna. Liam Smith, nearly 2 years out the ring for this fight. He looked it. And like I said, he looked every bit his 36 years. Don't know where he goes from here. Does he pack it in? Does he have one last fight? Does he blame it on the inactivity and come back for one last big one? Or does he see what he's got left? Not really sure, but very, very disappointing from Liam Smith. Fantastic performance by Aaron McKenna. And then we went on to the trilogy that nobody asked for. And let's be honest, this probably lived up to what we all said. We didn't want to see it. And thank God that trilogy is over. It was a poor fight. Anthony Yarde talks a good game, and he got the win. But it was a very, very poor fight, apart from probably the last couple of rounds, where Anthony Yarde did put his foot on the gas. I mean, 116, 112, 115, 113, 116, 112. Probably fair scorecards, but Anthony Yarde now, that's 2 fights on the trot where he's won on points. I mean, the last one, albeit was a poor opponent. This one, Lyndon Arthur has mixed it better. Don't know what to think of Anthony Yarde. I think sometimes he really does lack what it needs to be done at the very, very top level. You know, he's been in with the likes of Artur Beterbiev, Kovalev. He's failed both times for a world title. Don't really know what they do with Anthony Yarde now. I mean, albeit Frank Warren will big him up now and talk him into another big fight, but I'm glad that trilogy's done. It was the trilogy we didn't want to see, and in all honesty, for a co-main event, a Chiefs of War, it was crap. And there could have been so many better fights to have put on in that position. But thank God it is done with. That trilogy, the trilogy we didn't want, is done. Thank God. And then we had the build-up to the main event. The hype of Fight Week was fantastic. Long time ago now, it seems, when we had Eubank slapping the egg around Conor Benn's head. For the good of boxing, I wanted Eubank to win this fight. I thought he'd win on points, and the guys I'd done the preview show with all agreed. We all went for the points win. Thank God we got it right. The fight itself was absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen this fight yet, please order the pay-per-view this morning and watch it back again, because it is definitely worth it. Probably, would we say, one of the best fights we've seen in the British ring? Look, in my lifetime, that is definitely up there with one of the best fights I've seen. I mean, many, many years ago, 1990, the fathers fought, 1993. I remember sitting in the bedroom at my mum and dad's, watching the two fathers go at it in 2 brilliant fights with my dad on ITV, all free then. This was pay-per-view, how times have changed. This was worth 20 quid easily, just for this fight alone. It was just toe-to-toe. Both of them landed big shots. Both of them showed great chins. Both of them were out on their feet at the end. Fantastic, riveting stuff. I didn't want it to end. I wanted it to be one of the old 15-rounders. But the way these two fought, I felt like they both would have stood up still for 15 rounds, even though they were gone and out on their feet. Both of them deserve an absolute world of credit for putting on such a fantastic boxing match. Well, it was a boxing match, but probably the last 4 or 5 rounds, that went out the window. They went into an all-out brawl, which did suit Conor Benn as the fight went on. But Eubank did dig in for me when he needed to. He showed his grit and determination, and the right man won. There's a bit of controversy with the scorecards. Some people said to me, oh, it could have been a draw, could have edged it to Conor Benn. No way, in my opinion, did Conor Benn win that fight. I think the scorecards were harsh at 116, 112 on all 3 cards. That for me was a little bit harsh. I had it possibly Eubank by 1, max 2. Not the way the judges have seen it. But the right man won. Going forward, will we see a rematch? It was a 2-fight clause. Turkey Al Sheikh's got a 2-fight clause. I don't see how they won't do the second fight, because it just simply makes too much money. But there's questions about the weight. Conor Benn struggled to make the weight the first weigh-in. Conor Benn, was it a step up too much for him? Can he go on and win world titles at 147, possibly slightly higher? That will be the big debate now going forward. But whether it will be 1 year, I was going to say 2 years, but is Eubank going to be too past it then? Will they want to do it quickly? I don't see how you don't see the second fight with the money it makes. Would they even go? Would it even sell bigger and go to Wembley Stadium? Would they go back to Spurs again? I definitely think the fight happens again, no matter what. I mean, I've seen a post-fight press conference this morning where Eddie Hearn's talking about Eubank coming down a weight again to the rematch. Eddie, don't talk bullshit, please. That is utter bullshit to suggest Chris Eubank Jr. can come down a weight again. Don't talk nonsense. That's just ridiculous. But I've also seen as well that Eddie Hearn saying Conor Benn is the people's champion. Eddie, I know you ain't going to watch my show, but please explain to me why Conor Benn is the people's champion. I would love that to be explained to me. I put this on social media. I want it explained why he's the people's champion. But the one point I did forget as well, and I can't forget this, how fantastic was it to see Chris Eubank Sr. turn up with his son doing that ring walk. That was just... The first part of it was when Eubanks Jr. gets out the car and Senior gets out the other car and they meet and walk in together and then the ring walk together. Thank God that they both, I would say, had this pre-planned to do this a long time ago, I would say, and he's probably even been training him as well, which is just so nice to see the Eubank team reunited. Father and son should always be side by side. I'd love to have that again with my dad. I'd love to have all that again, you know. But to see these two guys back together and going forward, let's keep it that way. Do the rematch and bring your team together and have the whole build-up with them two in it. It'll be even better. But a fantastic night of British boxing. It was utterly superb, particularly the main event. The crowd, the empty crowd from the off was disappointing, which didn't really fill up till probably the co-main event. But the main event was superb and was worth the £20 alone just to have that main event. It was riveting stuff. And I'm so glad that in the end, from all the bullshit and the controversy we had with the drugs, the failing drugs test and then going into that fight, it made it all worth the while in the end. We got there and it was a superb fight. So I want to know, fight fans, let me know what your opinions of the fight was. Was it the right scorecards? Was it wrong? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? All of it. I'm happy either way how you feel. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the more subscriptions I've had this week. I think I've had another 8 or 9 this week, which is fantastic. Let me know what you think. This has been a brilliant review of a brilliant night of boxing. British boxing at its best. And enjoy your Sunday. Thank you.